Alright, here's my kitchen sink at the moment. So I gotta go 31 inches. I got 31 inches in there. This is 22 inches across. So it'll be probably 23 inches. It's 24 inches from here to there. So I can cut that back. I may come out just a bit. Well, I can't either because this has got to be back that far. So it's got to go back there. I only got about, what I got over there? 14 inches. It's about right here, and I can't move this over any farther. It's up against the trim, and it's better to have some air. Plus, you can see where it goes through the ground, through the floor there. So it'll end about right there, and this will be pushed back a little bit to the wall. And I've got a vanity cabinet, two-door vanity cabinet next door. I don't know how high it is though. This is the height I have to be because I'm going to put it back in the same spot for the plumbing. Yeah, we'll see. I got all kinds of cabinet doors. Two big ones here. One over there would be good. Over here I'm going to need to put some kind of a rotating or peel out thing of some sort. Otherwise I'll lose all that room over there. Unless I can come up with something interesting for that. And this has got an old style fan, so it doesn't have a fan in the hood for now. So, alright, so that's what I have to work with. Let's see if I get a chance to cut that thing up, or if the hurricane's gonna put a halt to all that. Hurricane Idalia. Idalia starting to head up this direction. Well, it's just a tropical storm so far, but we'll see. So here again, another 10 minutes too late. Just showed where I found this, but anyway, this is a countertop that's been yanked out of a condominium, I believe it is. Just conveniently has that double stainless stink. And I think the one I have will probably fit that. And I can cut this down. Got plenty of it. So now I have a countertop. So, okay, that luck's still holding out. Alright, so I've got my measurements. So, I think I'm just going to cut this up so I can transport it. Before I cut it down, and I like to rather have it on site where I can figure all this out. This is 16 inches from there to there. I only need 14 inches, but so I can easily just cut 2 inches, and we'll try to save that strip. I can put it on that side. This can only be 24 inches from the wall out here where the stove is going to be, but I may, well, no, I can't see this, so I gotta have it down there. The door of the stove's got to open, so it's gonna have to open to a certain point. I'm not sure how far I have to go with it. It may be cut all the way back to here because the stove door has to open up. Cut it all the way back. It can only be 24 inches, so from that edge, from where the door's got open to the wall. So. But if I cut this thing down, cut it over here, I was thinking it's 22, that's the wrong measurement, so I'll have to cut it on here and then cut it down to here, make it so it'll fit in the truck, and then I can do the final measuring and cutting down there. And I got plenty. It's 33 inches on this side, sticking over this way, so I got plenty of room to add this to it. I might make a, who knows, but then I can take that with me as well. Those will both fit in there. Alright, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to whack this thing in half, and let's see, that may be all I need to do for now. Alright, here's what we look like. We're going to cut this little thing all the way over to there, and we're going to have this piece and that piece, and I'll just go ahead and cut it all the way down the end here and we'll see how it goes. Alright, kitty litter. It's not just for cats anymore. I'm gonna just whack off 14 inches of this so I can fine tune it when I get down there, but it's really heavy still, so I'm gonna cut that down, and I have that other piece over there I can figure it out when I get there. Alright? Alright. Okay, so I measured this thing. I'm on site now. Looks like I can get away with 24.5 inches because I really like this nice completed edge here. When it gets over here, it's already chewed up, or I had to cut the other piece off, but this is going to be up against the stove, so you won't see that anyway. I'll just do something to fill that up. So instead of using my Ryobi corded skill saw, the bearing's worn out or something, that blade just wanders all over. I mean, this is me cutting a straight line with it. It just kind of goes. So I'm going to use my little cordless. And the size on that one, the freaking alignment of blades, just, who knows, it's all over the place. Here's got a clear 0 line. I think this also has a laser, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Yeah, look at that laser. So you measure from the laser line. Well, you have to measure. Where am I? It tells you right there, it's 4 inches to the edge. I measured anyway. So what I'm going to do, since I want the flat part against something beefy, I'm going to cut it in this direction. So I'm going to measure back 4 inches from my line, which is about here. I'm going to set me up a ramp, in this case just a 2x4, clamp it down, and hopefully that 2x4 is straight enough that I'll just run this line. Now unfortunately, the way it looks with the sink in place, this is a little farther off than it is down here, so that means they put this cutout isn't square to this finished edge, which is where it should all been referenced to. It should have been squared to this, but this line right there is what, 2 7/8, and this is 2 5/8, off like a 1/4 inch. If you look at it, I did this little chewed up part because it wouldn't fit. If you look at this line, it's not cut very straight. Anyway, so I'm going to clamp that up, and we should be able to get a decent line on that. Okay, there I got it. The line is just showing up against the 2x. The other thing you need to do is make sure your clamps are far back enough. You don't get a surprise. You get cutting in here and you run into them. See the clearance right there? Done that before. You get along over here and you run into that sucker, and it either jumps you over or hits you up or something, and you screw up your line. So it's looking pretty good. Get my earmuffs on. Just gonna do a dry run. Now it's not looking as good as I thought. I wonder why. There's the other reason to do a dry run. It's cutting back a little. I'm gonna have to kick it over just a little bit. It's gonna be a little tricky too, because it's, I want to be in that empty spot. I wonder if I'd be better off going this direction. It'd be right about there. You know what? Because when I get to here, it's going to want to do this. I think I'm going to turn around and do the other way. Let's see how that looks. I like that a lot better. Just some notes. I made my measurements for my 24.5. If I didn't say this before. Starting at this factory edge over here. You want it, it's a nice straight, smooth, and this is a nice straight, smooth edge. So I measured from here, 24.5. Here, 24.5, and here, as far as I could go, because I cut that other piece that was angled off to the side here. I could just cut it right there, but I think that's fine. I'll add on some more to that probably. We'll see, because that edge got chewed up too. Anyway, so my original measurements are made from the best straight edge. And in this case, this is 1 inch on this side. Where are you? 1 inch. So since I was over a little bit, I moved over closer to my line. Same with here. Mosquitoes. And then I did a trial in again here. You can see. And that's much right on there. And even though it's going to fall away right here, it's going to be sturdier because I have something for the whole saw to go on, and then I go back to right here. So I got extra batteries. This is 3/4 of an inch thick, except right at this very edge. So the doubler's already come off it, and I'm going to have to put it back on it. Oh dear, it's going to be. So this part is going to be thick. Oh well, I guess I got extra batteries. Well, let me go ahead and make that. Hopefully it's going to come out nice and straight. I don't really know what condition that blade's in, but I guess we're going to find out. But this is going to be up against the back anyway, so technically I could put a little backsplash in there if I wanted to. I'll probably just put a little bead of white silicone back there. You won't see the edge anyway. And this, of course, is going to have a couple inches cut off it. Too bad, but at least I'll have this factory finished edge to where the stove is. I think the stove comes out to right here. So this is shaping up. Should be pretty good. Let's cut that off and see how it looks. So it actually worked. 1.5 batteries. When I got on this end, I went ahead and pulled the blade back up to about half that size. Cut through it a lot easier, and then I went back and cut through it like butter. Fortunately, there's usually nails in there. Same thing, cut all the way with it, all with the blade all the way down, and then pick the blade back up for this last part here. And my final. But one other word before you do that: make sure your sawhorses are back far enough. There's so many of these sawhorses you'll see that have cuts in them. And these I happen to salvage from here. But I have a pair just like it, which I'm pretty sure are cut up too, because you can come with little thingies to hold the wood, round material. Anyway, alright, so that's good. This piece is shorter than it's going to be when it's finished. Here's the cut edge just came out just beautifully. Beautiful, look at that. So let me go in there and stick it in place, and we'll take a look and see what's going to have to happen. Okay, so the first rough fit. Unfortunately, it's not going to go right here unless I do some modifications. Instance. Actually. That center on the window actually comes over a little bit more that way. Yeah, I think I may actually bring this over to about there and keep that edge. I'll have to cut the pipe there and put a coupling in there to move the sink over. That's basically the way I was setting it up, so I wouldn't have to alter that plumbing any, but I can certainly just cut it right there and move it over a little bit. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and use that as my reference. Leave it about that much. Sitting here, I can't do anything here. If I leave the trim on the floor, I can move it over a little bit. Just take the trim out of the floor, which I might do. I think that's pretty good, but I don't want to move it too far because I'd rather have the sink centered up on the window. So maybe I'll have to see. One or another, I can stretch that out. I think I'm gonna more like set this up on the window, centered in the window, maybe right there. It's not quite. On that center or this center. Actually, the center of the window would bring it back that way some more. Be more like that. Just a little bit beyond each one. And then we got that much room in there, which actually I could put a broom or something up against there or something. I'm gonna have to figure that out. But so this has got to go. I've got to build one on the inside so that this is as wide as it gets. So it's going to have to be up on the side. Boy, that's going to be tight. Yeah. Let's see. So now I'm going to have to figure that out. Bring the sink in here and figure out where it's going to, how far it's going to go back in there. Well, I can just do that afterwards. Alright, so I got some thinking to do, but it's looking pretty good. I think I may just go ahead and pull that over. Give me about 2 inches. I think that's probably going to be good. Alright. Okay, so since this is so thin back here, I need to put this piece back in it so it'll get up to the right height anyway. So this is part I cut off. I'm going to glue wood to wood side, and I'm just going to go ahead and glue this piece right back up in there like so, and then I'm going to come on the inside and I'll cut it out with a jigsaw. So I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put 2x4 over the top, and every time I get a chance to use my Jorgensen real clamps, love it. So I'll be clamping those up on the ends, a couple of clip clamps in the middle, using heavy duty liquid nails, which apparently I'm out of, so I can get some of that. They stapled it and put a little bit of glue in there, but the heavy duty liquid nails should hold that just fine. I don't think I'm going to have to put anything else in there to hold it. And I put it on top of another section of counter to give it some rigidity so it'll be straight. But it looks like I'm going to have to do that tomorrow when I get some more liquid nails. So I'll get that set up and park it for the night and go tear something up for the time being. We got plenty of daylight. So on the back of my head, I actually had this idea that I had a thin piece like this that came off of there, and lo and behold, after I'd already cut that other piece, I was walking back in the trailer over here and I found it. This is what I had in mind, so this is what's going to go. This is the actual size. Before I do this, before I glue this thing in, this is all nice and smooth. Smooth surfaces. I want smooth surfaces. So I was going to use some coarse sandpaper, but before I found the coarse sandpaper, I just came across my little saw here. I usually use this for cutting styrofoam, but see, it's got nice big teeth on it. So I went across here and like a crosshatch pattern, just dang mosquitoes, across this whole thing, going like this, and then back the other direction to rough this up, break through the surface, put some little grooves in there. So it also works as a good mosquito swatter. And did the same thing on the surface that's going on there. That way I don't have smooth to smooth. I'm going to have little grooves and little grooves over there. It gives the heavy duty liquid nails a little something better to grab a hold of. So it just roughens it up. I said I've got a piece of the counter there, so this is going to go the actual proper size. Going to go in there. I'm going to put 2x4 on top of that and clamp the whole thing together, of course, once I glue it. And then just leave that and let it cure. And then I'm going to come on the inside, flip it over, and come in with my jigsaw and trim this piece out. In fact, I may actually be able to trim it and straighten up the placement of that sink if I really want to get ambitious. I'll take a look at that. I may have to trim it and a little bit, so it'll allow it to shift a little bit or move this way or that way. But that'd be the time to do that if I'm going to ever do it. So right now, let me get some glue going. My heavy duty liquid nails on. I can't really use much of this one. I may not be able to use any of it. See, it's all hardened up. So stop at good old Lowe's. Actually, I went to Home Depot this morning and grabbed these for $3.48. So I always buy the next one. I always have an extra. Now you get away with reusing this. You just leave a bead at the end of it like that. It'll cure out here and down a little bit, and you get at least a few weeks. It gets to the point where it's all dried out, so this should be soft down here. If I get lucky, I'll be able to pull that out of there and reuse the rest of it. There's not much left, you can see there. It's almost down to about there. Jeez, these things are bad. That's $3.48 a tube. If you don't open it, you got probably a couple of years you can let this sit. So I'll come up with some use for it. So let me get this thing glued. Never use these, just snip off the end of them. Caulking guns, if it's a good one, will have a poker on the end of it. So you cut this off at an angle. 45-degree angle is how thick you want it. I always start with a small angle, because as you go back to this, a lot of times you'll have to cut it back farther so you can dig out the dead stuff. Eventually I end up using a drill bit in there to get into here. I'll get it cut all the way down to the bottom if I don't use it enough, and to poke into the good stuff. I try to use all of them up. Don't like to waste. So I'm going to see if I can use that part, and I'll get this one going. Smear it all on here. I'm going to put it on this side, because then I can see where I only have to glue it onto this little edge here. Clamp this thing up, and I said we'll just let that sit for now, and then maybe I can start building the rest of that cabinet in there. And it's kind of weird because all the drain piping in there is kind of fixed because it's a trailer. And I said when I get in there, I'm gonna have to adjust the distance between the P-trap, as you say, it's fixed too, and the part that goes through the floor. Shouldn't be a problem though. I'll just have to go to mobile home store and get that coupling for that particular pipe. Why it's different, I don't know, but it is. Alright, let's get to going on here. Alright, here we go. Glued up with all the clamps I just had laying around here. Looks like that. Now I could trim down a little bit. Glue's squirting out some of the places there. It's squirting out so much. Ooh, look at that. I got a gap in there. I'm going to do something about that. I have to move this thing over so that it goes flat. Well, this is pretty good. Just move the 2x4 down. Truth be told, the time it took to mess with that much liquid nails in that tube wasn't worth it. So you get down to a couple inches, just pitch it. It ain't worth messing with unless you're going to reuse it shortly. Alright, that's basically how it's set up. We got the bottom piece to keep it flat. Looks like this section over here is a little bit thicker than this gap, so I'm going to have to get something in there to push down on that, and you can see how it's interesting. Maybe I'll just bring this over here. Anyway, I'll let that sit and cure for a while. I'll go work on the other part.